I have a question for you because I feel like this is something that a lot of people that are in the content creation space probably
Mhm.
struggle with because I feel like you're just like constantly looking at yourself, you're
Yeah.
constantly having to compare and doom scroll and all the things. Do you feel like being in the content creation space is kind of like a triggering thing for you in any way?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think it's what you decide to feed yourself with and what mental state you're
For
in.
sure.
So whenever I got back from The Bachelor, I was at a really, really, like really low point. There was like a guy that I really liked that it didn't work out with. And my doom scrolling became comparing myself to other girls who were like getting into relationships or like had a ton of followers on Instagram models, or like what I thought that the guys that I liked wanted. And so if you were to look at my explore page at that time, it would have just been super skinny girls, like hot girls, Instagram models. And I felt like that was like a reflection of what my mental state was and like the insecurities that I had on myself. And that became really hard because I was constantly flooding myself with like, who are these guys following? Like, oh, like
Mm,
they like these girls, like they don't look like me. And then there is so much, like, honestly, just like AI or just like filtering and face tuning and like angles that go into every single photos. It can get depressing and it
mhm.
can get really hard. But since then, and since putting a lot of effort into like making myself the best version of myself I can be, I try not to filter my social media to be a projection of like what I want to be or what I feel like I should be.
Yeah.
And I use it as a tool to help me get to the place that I want to go to next. And so now my explore page is like a lot of like tips for Instagram analytics. I work in marketing, so it's a lot of marketing pages. It's honestly now, if I can go to my explore page, it's so much creativity, it's so much insight, it's so much education that I can open it and it gives me all the tools to become better at not only my full-time job but also my content creation job. And I think like just that switch is my switch in mentality of like what I want and what I'm seeking out. Like if I'm seeking out someone to make me feel less than myself, like I'm going to find that on social media. But if I'm using social media to help like build my business, my practice, my content creation, like I'm going to find that and I'm going to like flood social media with that. So it is hard. And I've spoken to a lot of creators that like you're constantly looking at yourself every single
Oh,
day.
yeah.
Um, it's so difficult to have a job that, especially like even a part-time job that
Right.
focuses around you. But if you could use, and my advice is if you can use like your time on the app to not make it about you and make like your editing about you or like the content creation about you when you're on app, like it's really about like the community.
For
And so
sure.
if you just like start to use social media in a different way, it becomes really helpful. And
Yeah.
I don't think that was something that I knew that I was doing.
It's so subconscious,
Yeah.
and it's interesting that you bring up the Discover Explore page
Yeah.
because I think that is like a reflection of your brain almost. It's
Mhm.
like, okay, what I'm consuming is what I'm thinking about,
Yeah.
and even if it's subconscious, it's there somehow, and yeah, I think filtering it is really important and making sure that you're digesting and consuming valuable content that's
Yeah.
only going to improve your mindset and who you are is a great
Yeah.
thing to say. It's a tool. It's meant to be used as a
Yeah.
tool, and it's definitely gotten jaded throughout the
Oh my
years.
gosh, yeah. I mean, like if you would have looked at it a couple years ago, you would have thought from looking at my explore page, I was like a horny 24-year-old boy with the amount of like hot, like unattainable
Oh
women
my
were on there. Like
gosh.
it was so
That's
bad. So I'm
hilarious.
like you just gotta like also like trim the fat. Like if you're following people or pages that aren't serving you and making you feel the best version of yourself, like unfollow, like block, delete. And I did that for a while. And now like you're like, okay, like she probably works in marketing and she loves health and wellness and puppies and likes bikinis.
Yes,
So
yes,
it's a mix of
absolutely.
everything now.
I think we're just our own worst critics.
Yeah.
And I think with social media, it just gives us more accessibility to tear ourselves apart. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's just, it can be a toxic place, but if you learn to utilize it in the correct ways, it can help your business. It can help your
Yeah.
education. There's so many great elements to it too.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that people are really going to benefit from hearing this because
Oh.
you're drop dead gorgeous.
Well,
Like
thanks.
you have like just so many amazing things going for you. And the fact that that's something that you have struggled with,
Yeah.
like anybody can struggle with it. Like we're all so human. And
Mhm.
I think unfortunately, like we all have those doubts about ourselves sometimes. But I think if we learn to find that love from within and just really
Yeah.
harness that energy, good things start to come from there.
It does. My dad always used to say, like, compare and compete, you live in defeat. And that's something
Oh,
that
I
I've,
love
it's
that.
really good. He's told me that ever since I was a little kid. And so that's something that I've always tried to take with me because if you're constantly just like trying to measure yourself up, like in your career, in your relationship, like to other girls, like you're never going to feel fulfilled and you're never going to be giving. So you're always like giving energy. So either you can be giving energy out, the energy that you have to negative things, or you can be using that energy that you're giving out in comparison to energy that you have like, okay, well, I'm not where I want to be. Like, what are the tools that I can get to help me? So yeah, I feel like it's all about energy. I feel like that's
I'm
also
so into
age.
energy.
I know you
Yeah, like
do.
I love just I think that's my most overused word
Yeah.
because it's so important. Like we are all energy
Yeah.
and the way that you just use your energy and utilize it towards
Mhm.
other people, towards your environments, I feel like it definitely creates just an impact for how your life is going to be the rest of your life. And just making sure that you have good energy and you're spreading that is so
Yeah.
essential, not just for yourself, but for the people around you too.